I'm here with Petr Peterka, who's the Chief Technology Officer at Verimatrix. Petr, there's a lot of interest obviously in content security for UHD. What do service providers need to think about specifically when they're looking at UHD over OTT networks?
Well, nice to meet you, Stuart, and good to be here. Let me make one point first, that the Ultra HD content is really the highest value content that content owners have. And it doesn't really matter what networks it's being distributed. The content needs to be protected with the best security that is available. And if you look at the Movie Labs requirements that they put together for Ultra HD content, and also input from different studios, there are some fundamental security rules that you want to apply. One is the hardware root of trust. One is the trusted execution environment and upgradable software download. Then you have the whole secure video path and output protection. And lastly, you want to have forensic watermarking so that you can actually trace piracy if that happens. Now, how does this apply to OTT distribution? You have actually a big disadvantage if you are in the OTT space, because you have to cover a lot of different devices and device types, and each one has different built-in security features, and if you want to layer the right solution on top of it, you have a broad range of devices that you need to cover.
Great. Now, there's a perception perhaps that has developed that DRM specifically is often seen as free with Widevine or maybe PlayReady as well. What do service providers need to think about when they're evaluating DRM, including that kind of free choice, so to speak?
Yes, it is very tempting to download some either open source DRM or some royalty-free DRM solutions, and the initial thought might be, hey, I'll download the royalty-free SDK, I'll somehow recompile it, integrate it into my device, and off I go, right? But when you start really digging into the details, you find out that each DRM comes with what's called compliance and robustness rules. And now you have to take on all the responsibility of actually integrating it properly, hardening it properly, either integrating it into the trusted execution environment, or finding the right keys in every device, issuing certificates, all of that. And that's not trivial work. Now once you may hire some security engineers and do this, but then you figure out, maybe you are on one platform like iOS, then you find out there are some hardware models that are different, and there are new operating systems, and once you figure that out, then you find out, I need to move to Android, and there's the variety there is even higher, right? You have many different hardware platforms and different versions of the operating system, and so suddenly the work that you have to do is growing up exponentially, and then you have to cover the Windows and browser world, and the work never ends. And at the end, you also have to integrate it on the server side, and you most likely end up with more than one DRM. So you really want to make sure that it's properly integrated into your entitlement management system or subscriber management system, such that you deliver a consistent experience across these different DRMs to your subscribers.
Right. Now, you had your own VCAS system audited recently by Farncombe, I believe. What will service providers get? What should they look for from that kind of audit procedure?
Well, we do these audits for two reasons. One, we have very experienced security designers, but we want to have somebody with really strong expertise like Farncombe. They've been in this business for a long time. They have cryptographers and security architect experts. We want them to look at our system with, let's say, fresh eyes. And I want to learn, what possible flaws I have or some improvements that I can make. So that's one reason. The other reason is that we really need to convince content owners and operators that our security is appropriate for the content they are distributing. And so if we come with a third-party audit to them, that's very beneficial. What we did this time is not only kind of review the system end-to-end, from the content ingestion to the content consumption, as well as the kind of the device lifetime, meaning how do you provision keys, how do you harden the OS and the device, and how do you revoke the device if something goes wrong. But Farncombe also took the Movie Labs requirements, they kind of translated it into cryptographic terms, and then they mapped it to the different layers of our security. And we wanted to make sure that our system actually addresses all of those requirements. So that was the work we've done, and I'm very proud of the result.
Yeah. Now, talking about Movie Labs requirements and so on, watermarking is obviously something that is seen as a key security requirement for UHD content. What does watermarking bring to UHD content security, and what is the kind of response in the market to the watermarking solutions that are available?
Yeah, well, as you may know, watermarking has been around for quite some time. It's not a new technology, and it's fairly mature. It's been used in early release window content or some other premium services. But with Ultra HD, many of the studios really see it as a fundamental component of the security, because even though you do as much to prevent piracy or theft, you can't prevent all of it. And if it happens, you want to have a mechanism to find out where it's coming from, what device type it's coming from, and if there's a repeated offender, you want to know who that bad subscriber of yours really is. And forensic watermarking gives you that ability to trace piracy back to the source. So that's very, very important. But it has some new use cases. For instance, 4K is really driven by sports content, right? Sports content has a very high value while it's live, and the value goes down very quickly after that. So you have to have a version of forensic watermarking that allows you to really find the content while or recognize the content while it's still live, and you want to really capture that, detect the mark, send it back to the head end, find out which device is actually sourcing this illegal content, and you can actually shut down that device during the broadcast, and that's the goal of the forensic watermarking for sports.
Great. Petr, thanks very much.
It was a pleasure.